South Africa's Minister of Trade and Industry and Competition, Ebrahim Patel, and Botswana's Minister of Trade and Industry, Mmusi Kgafela, are about to brief the media this afternoon at the end of South Africa-Botswana Business Forum that's currently underway in Gaborone. The two ministers lead a meeting that brings together government and private sector representatives from the two nations to engage in discussion aimed at promoting trade, investment and joint venture partnerships. Let's take you live to the minister.
And so, whether it is on the many different products that we have, we say, look for the Made in Africa label. Instead of taking products, instead of saying this microphone will be largely imported from Asia and South Africa just does the relabeling, it creates virtually no jobs. Why not make the foam? Why not make the microphone itself? Why not invest in the electronics that sits behind sophisticated PA systems? And so that's really the direction that we're going, and we think it creates enormous opportunity. We've looked at what we call the Big Five, and in this case, the Big Five is really about the opportunities that lie there. We say, work together on export destinations, work together on identifying the products, work together in connecting the region's value chains, work together on logistics, and we've heard earlier from the business representative the frustrations and difficulties that businesses experience with the logistics, and it was given a great specificity. And finally, let's work together on an investment plan. So this is the Big Five. The opportunities that we have is not only in industrial production, but that's our main focus now to see what we can do there. It's also in other areas, getting an integrated tourism development strategy for the region. Think about it. You can hardly think of a place in the world that has the attractions that a few countries here in Southern Africa has. In one visit by a Chinese or an Indian or European tourist or an American tourist, they can see what they cannot see anywhere else in the world. And so we've got to package that better and leverage off our strengths there. So we're starting a new journey in which we are saying, what is complementary? What can we do differently? We're also celebrating some successes. South Africa has been able to get some traction in its localization program. We're beginning to look at different. I saw, for example, some edible oils here earlier that's produced in Botswana. We don't have edible oil refinery capacity for crude oil, so we're building one in Richards Bay. But we're also looking to celebrate successes that Botswana has had. And I gave the example earlier of two sectors. The wire harness one and the plastic pipes, where Botswana is showing industrial strength and the ability to produce on scale and to the standards required in the market. So this is where we will be going. It's really an opportunity, a completely new journey to see how we unlock what is available. I focus most of my remarks on the AFC FTA because it's Africans learning that we must begin to change our production and consumption patterns. I said to the business community, Africa does not produce what it consumes, and Africa does not consume what it produces. We produce copper, and then we send it to the rest of the world. And changing that using our enormous natural resource space, is going to make a change. Africa accounts for 17% of the world's population, less than 1% of car production in the world. 17% of the world's population, less than 1% of steel production. 17% of the world's population, 3% of the world's GDP. So it's in our hands to change that, and we're not going to change it by eating each other's little breakfasts. It's by training our industrial and innovative capabilities on these massive markets and unlocking those markets for goods made in Southern Africa and indeed goods made on the African continent. So I want to end off by saying that Minister Kgafela has brought a very practical approach to things, and I hope that we'd be able to walk this road. I've taken note carefully of the challenges and frustrations, and we're going to facilitate meetings between SARS and the team in Botswana. I've also walked around in the marketplace, the exhibition that has been set aside, and I'd encourage members of the media to go there. You see there examples of the industrial strength of Botswana. You'll also see examples of industrial outputs from South Africa. So both are there. And we spoke to a number of players. I mean, we went to the one player, the very first one, and it was a biltong producer. And his storyline was so wonderful. He says, this packet of biltong here is a partnership. The meat comes from Botswana. The skills to turn it into the tastiest biltong that we've ever had is skills here in Botswana. The packaging comes from South Africa. The spices come from South Africa. Bringing all of this together then produces a product that can go on markets, not just in Botswana, but across the region. And indeed, we don't want biltong only to be sold here. West Africa is waiting, East Africa is waiting. So that gives me an example, and there were a few such examples. So I look forward to the strengthening and building on the relationship under the leadership of our two heads of state, and with both Minister Kgafela and I knowing that we have to roll up our sleeves to get things moving, because we have young people who need jobs. Thank you very much.
All right, we come out of that South Africa-Botswana Business Forum and take you to a quick break.